The first B vitamin we're talking about is thiamine. Thiamine, like all of the other B vitamins we'll discuss, plays a critical role in the metabolism of all cells in the body. Thiamine occupies a site on nerve cell membranes, and nerve processes and responding muscles depend heavily on thiamine for adequate function. Deficiency of thiamine is going to be called beriberi or Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. So beriberi is deficiency caused by inadequate intake of thiamine food sources. So really inadequate intake of thiamine. Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome we discussed briefly in our controversy about alcohol. So Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome is thiamine deficiency caused by alcohol consumption, excess alcohol consumption, or alcohol abuse. This syndrome is caused by excess alcohol intake. The DRI for thiamine is 1.2 milligrams per day for men and 1.1 milligrams per day for women. And thiamine is found in pork products, sunflower seeds, enriched in whole grain cereals, and legumes. So if you look at a food label on cereal, usually they have all the other nutrients that are added, and you'll probably see thiamine in that list, so check that out. Our next B vitamin is riboflavin, which also plays a role in the energy metabolism of all cells. Deficiency of riboflavin usually occurs when thiamine is also deficient, so thiamine and riboflavin are pretty connected. Deficiency is usually pretty rare, but it is often seen in children or elderly who do not consume any milk and milk products or meat products. The DRI is the same as it was for thiamine, so 1.2 milligrams per day for men and 1.1 milligrams per day for women. It's also going to be found in enriched breads, cereals, pastas, milk, some vegetables, eggs, and meat. So again, check the label. Enriched products are going to include riboflavin. One thing to be mindful of about riboflavin is that it's destroyed by UV light and radiation. So this is why milk is stored in opaque containers or cardboard containers so that UV light does not impact it and break down the riboflavin that you're going to find in your milk. Niacin is our next B vitamin. Again, it participates in the energy metabolism of all cells, and deficiency of niacin is called pellagra. Most well-fed individuals rarely show signs of niacin deficiency, but it does occur in poorly nourished individuals and individuals who abuse alcohol. So the four major signs or symptoms of pellagra that progress, as the deficiency gets worse are diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia, and death. So the 4 Ds. Toxicity is going to occur most likely with supplements. So again, most of our water-soluble vitamins, we don't have to worry about toxicity from food sources because they're not stored in the body. They're readily excreted because there's no storage form. But again, supplements is where we have some concern. If there is toxicity due to supplemental intake of niacin, this can cause a life-threatening drop in blood pressure. It can cause liver injury, peptic ulcers, vision loss, and niacin flush, which is really, really painful. So you do not want to have niacin toxicity. The DRI is 16 milligrams per day for men, 14 milligrams per day for women, and then our UL, which is where we're going to see some of those toxicity symptoms, is 35 milligrams per day. Niacin is found in meat, poultry, red fish, especially things like tuna or salmon, enriched cereals, legumes, and seeds. Folate. Folate plays a lot of roles and functions in the body. So it's involved with the production and maintenance of new cells. It's involved in the production of DNA. It works with vitamin B12 to form hemoglobin in red blood cells. So when we have inadequate intake, we can actually have anemia, which we'll talk a little bit more in the next slide. It also helps to lower the risk of delivering a baby with brain or spinal cord defects. It helps to control homocysteine levels linked to cardiovascular disease risk. So homocysteine increased levels are indicative of heart disease. So folate is important in helping to reduce those levels. Deficiency can cause anemia, can impair immunity, can also have abnormal digestive function, and there could be some interaction with folate and medication. So it would be important to talk to your doctor if there are any contraindications of folate intake and whatever medication you're taking. So folate enrichment became required in the 1990s. This is because folate is especially important for women of childbearing age. So we talked about folate being important for DNA synthesis, important for helping to prevent neural tube defects. So basically, folate is needed during the early stages of pregnancy, during that rapid cell development and fetal growth. And inadequate folate during DNA synthesis can cause neural tube defects. And most of these are occurring in the first month of pregnancy before many women may actually know they're even pregnant. So because of this, in the 1990s, it was required that enriched grain products be fortified with folate. And the goal of this law was to help to reduce neural tube defects. And since this was required, again in 1990, the prevalence of or the incidence of neural tube defects has decreased by 25%. So it has had a major impact in decreasing neural tube defects in the United States. So even if you're not pregnant, if you're a woman and you're not pregnant, but you're planning to become pregnant at some point, it's important to make sure that your folate intake is adequate now, because that folate is very important during the early stages of pregnancy. As far as folate recommendations go, the DRI is 400 micrograms per day and the UL is 1,000 micrograms per day. Again, this is going to most likely come from supplements. One thing we need to be concerned about with excess intake of folate is that it could actually mask vitamin B12 deficiency. And we'll talk more about this when we talked about vitamin B12. But folate is also can be found in fruits, vegetables, and enriched grain products, as we said, that they're all required to be fortified with folate. Alright, so vitamin B12 is closely related to folate, so they really work together and they depend on each other for activation. Vitamin B12 is also plays a role in the maintenance of sheaths around nerve fibers, so again, important for nerves, like some of our other B vitamins. And it's also part of coenzymes that are needed for new blood cell synthesis. So specifically our red blood cells, vitamin B12 is playing a role in that synthesis process. So if there's a deficiency of B12, this can result in pernicious anemia, which is due to immature red blood cells. So right here, if we don't have enough B12, this is going to cause pernicious anemia because our red blood cells are immature. Again, the deficiency can be masked by folate supplementation. So because folate deficiency can also cause anemia, we can't really tell by looking at the red blood cells necessarily what sort of anemia it is. Sometimes we can, but if we see someone has anemia, pernicious anemia, and we give them folate, this can correct the problem. It's going to correct the anemia, but the vitamin B12 deficiency is still going to be there. So this can be somewhat detrimental because we're not correcting our vitamin D deficiency problem. We corrected our anemia, but not the deficiency, and then we could have other negative impacts of that. The DRI is 2.4 milligrams per day, and vitamin B12 is found in all foods of animal origin. So we briefly touched on the fact that specifically vegans and then strict vegetarians, this could be a concern for because vitamin B12 is only found in animal foods. So it's important to find other sources of vitamin B12 or even take a supplement in that case. Vitamin B6 participates in over 100 reactions in the body, so it's very active in the body. It's needed to convert one amino acid to another, and it also aids in the conversion of tryptophan to niacin. So remember that niacin is another one of our B vitamins. So again, our B vitamins are all sort of working in harmony to make sure that we have them in adequate amounts. Vitamin B6 also plays a role in the synthesis of hemoglobin and serotonin. So again, hemoglobin is what's carrying oxygen in our red blood cells. It assists in releasing glucose from glycogen. So think back to when we learned about our carbohydrates, what's going on there. We need vitamin B6. It plays a role in immune function and steroid hormone activity. And it's also important for fetal nervous system development. So folate is the most important for overall fetal development and our DNA synthesis and preventing the neural tube defect. The vitamin B6 also plays a role in the nervous system development of the fetus. So all of our B vitamins, all these vitamins are essential and important, and they each have their own role of what they do in the body. B6 deficiency, there are just some general symptoms like weakness, again, because our B6 vitamins or our B vitamins in general are sort of our energy vitamins, so deficiency of B6 is going to cause weakness, depression, some skin changes, and even possibly neurological changes if there's severe deficiency. Toxicity, again, going to occur from supplement use. Food sources of vitamin B6 are safe. The DRI is 1.3 milligrams per day, and you'll find B6 in meats, fish, poultry, potatoes, leafy green vegetables, and some fruits. Our final two B vitamins are biotin and pantothenic acid. Both of these, like all of our other B vitamins, are important for energy metabolism. Biotin is, again, like many of our other B vitamins, serving as a cofactor for our enzymes. Remember, they're very specific in their shape and their function. Also plays a role in gene expression. Pantothenic acid is a key enzyme in many processes in the body as well. And both of these, biotin and pantothenic acid, are readily available in a variety of food sources, and healthy people are not at risk for deficiencies of these two B vitamins. So how can you make sure that you get all the nutrients? And specifically, today we've been talking about vitamins. So how do we get all the vitamins that we need? It's important to recognize that foods work together in harmony to provide most of our nutrients. So we also consume foods. We don't consume nutrients. We don't go out and say like, oh yes, I'm going to consume this vitamin C. We say, I'm going to consume this banana, or I'm going to consume this strawberry. So it's really important to consume a variety of foods, and that will get you all of the nutrients, vitamins, minerals, macronutrients, water, everything that you need. So again, focus on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, our lean proteins, and milk products, and you will get all of the nutrients, all the vitamins, all the minerals that you need. In our final segment, we're going to be talking about the controversy about supplementation. So I'll see you back in a minute.